Pleased to be joined by Grant McKaig of recruits.ca, talking a little Habs, talking some Laval Rocket today, while the Habs are still on their 6-day break. But we got some Laval Rocket action, and leading into that, we've got some players that are going to be making their debut tonight with the Rocket, Grant.
Yeah, there's going to be four players coming in to light up. Paling's back after missing a game, which is nice to see. Glad it was a minor injury. Not sure what it was, but he's back in. Frolik is going to be down for a conditioning stint, so he's going to come in and line up. And Arsen Kismudinov, we're going to go with that. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Sounds great.
I think a lot of people are going to be calling him Arsen most of the year. I know Joel in his press conference, he just referred to him as Arsen, and I think that's probably what you're going to hear from most people, maybe even the broadcasters doing the play-by-play. It's very excited to see how Jan Misak looks in his pro debut. He, of course, still has time left in junior, and tonight will be his first pro game, and it'll be interesting to see at 18 years of age how he looks against the men. It's encouraging that he's even getting a chance. So I think that tells you that Bouchard's been pretty impressed by his camp so far.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing some of the players, the prospects that we haven't seen yet, but definitely good to see Frolik on a conditioning stint. I'm very happy to see that because he's finally going to get some action here. He's a veteran NHL guy, 800 plus NHL games in his career. So I'm really glad to hear that he's going to get some action. I've been wanting to see what he can do. We also got Paul Byron, who was placed on waivers the other day, Grant. I think it was more of a salary cap move because he's got a higher cap hit. Therefore, that's why the Canadiens are going to save more money if they put him on waivers, risking him being claimed. But with that cap hit, I don't think it was a big risk for them to have him claimed. So, you know, you were saying you weren't sure if we should see Byron in the lineup going forward. We should probably talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I get the feeling that, you know, Frolik's been sent down for 2 games because they want to play him next weekend. I know a lot of people have been thinking that maybe, you know, it's strictly salary cap this week, save a few bucks, and then Byron will be back in. But I'm not sure. They're set, you know, the condition stint for Frolik for 2 games. They risked him on Byron being on waivers. I don't think it was just for salary cap. I think the intention is to give Frolik a look here and see if he can't maybe provide a little more spunk than Byron has so far this season. Paul has been a little disappointing as far as I'm concerned this year, and last as well. Seems like ever since he got that concussion, he hasn't been the same player, just not quite as fast as he used to be. And not seeing the breakaways that we used to see like all the time. That was like a big part of his game. I'm not sure that he's going to be back in the lineup. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm curious to see if he will either. And I think it's too bad because I'm going to bring my dog up here because he's just crying for attention. This is
yeah.
This is what I've been looking around the room at, is my pug here, Sherman. So I'll introduce our recruits, followers, and viewers. Oh, watch the camera. This is going to get a little dicey here. But yeah, this is Sherman. So
yeah,
he's
a little tank. He's a little tank, eh?
Sherman the tank. That's it.
Cute.
So that's him. Yeah, as far as Byron goes, I think it's too bad because, I mean, back-to-back 20-goal seasons, he earns himself an extension with the Canadiens. Very well deserved. But putting him on the 4th line, I think it just has that psychological effect on guys. When you minimize their role, it's hard to come back from something like that. It's hard to really be able to be the best you can be. And that's the simplest way to put it, I think, for me. I think Brett Kulak also struggles with confidence. When he's not confident, it shows. And, you know, given the role that Byron had previously with the Canadiens, now that they've gotten a lot deeper, I think his role has been minimized, and he realizes that, and he probably would rather be a more regular 3rd-line player, is my feeling on it.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought of it that way. I do think, though, that he's lost a step, really. I don't know what exactly, but physically, I don't think he's been the same ever since that concussion. unfortunately. And you're right, though. Confidence is at the NHL level. If you're sometimes, it can be as small a thing as confidence sometimes between you being effective and not being effective. And that certainly could be a factor in it. I agree.
Yeah, it really seems that way. All the signs seem to point towards it. And, the Canadiens are deeper. It's a good problem to have, right? But these guys are proud players. They're like, I still think Byron is a very good NHL player. He's fast. He's good on the penalty kill. When he can create offense, he can, but he's got to be in the right situation to create that offense. And I think he's in more of a defensive role right now at the Habs, so not able to be as effective as one would like. Also want to touch on some of the comments that Marc Bergevin made in his press conference yesterday, mentioning, we didn't talk about this beforehand, Grant, but he mentioned that he wants to see more, not just the Canadiens, but Bergevin himself wants to see more out of Tomas Tatar. We saw him scratch the other night against the Leafs. He's in a contract year. The feeling is really growing that we're likely not going to see Tatar in a Canadiens uniform after this season. So I just am curious about how they're going to use him and, how his attitude is going to affect the rest of this season. And if he's going to be focused on just this season and getting the Canadiens as far as they can in the playoffs, or if he's going to be thinking about himself and maybe wanting out the door before the trade deadline.
Tatar has always been a good character guy, I think, in the NHL. He has a reputation for being a hard worker and a team guy. He was the same way in junior as well. Led Slovakia to heights that they'd never seen before. Real character guy that likes to win. I think he'd like to help the Canadiens go on a playoff run. He's been struggling a bit this year and maybe not working as hard as your comment. I don't know what forever reasons, whether the contract issues are part of it, but certainly I think it's a wake up call for him, and he'll come back strong. He'll play with more of an edge and a little more zest, I think, tonight. I suspect he'll be on the third line with KK and Armia, and I'm hoping that he can produce. He scored a goal at the end of a lot of his last game that he played, and here's hoping that gets him going.
You did say tonight. I think you meant Saturday night, but I'm not trying to correct you on that.
He's not playing for Laval. He's not playing for Laval tonight. Oh,
Tatar?
No, that's Frolik. Yeah, right. Yeah, he Saturday night. That's quite used to having a game every 2 or 3 nights there. This is quite a break.
Well, yeah, it is. And I think that's what we're used to. So, but I'm hoping, like you said, that Tatar can produce on a third line role, because he was a first line guy the last 2 seasons and he was the top scorer on the team. So again, a guy whose role could be minimalized. And then we got to see how he responds, because, the Canadiens want to roll 4 lines. And if Toffoli, Gallagher, and Danault are going to start clicking more, as we saw against the Leafs, I don't care who you're playing with. Just do your job and, get points however you have to. That's kind of my view on it. But also, Bergevin did mention our guy, Cole Caufield, saying that at the end of this NCAA season, he is going to turn pro. We do not know, as per quarantine regulations and whatnot, whether or not he'll be joining the Rocket right away or joining the Canadiens because of those reasons, because of the 14-day mandatory quarantine in Canada. So he did mention it, though, that he's going to be turning pro. So that we have heard out of Bergie's, from your mouth to Bergie's ears, I would say, actually.
Well, he wanted to turn pro, I think, when all this quarantine stuff happened, and he wasn't sure about whether there was even going to be a college season. He certainly was, pondering it, and I think the Canadiens wanted another year of seasoning and go to another World Junior, just get his play away from the puck, improve a bit before he turned pro, and he's ready. Obviously, I think that, and I've been saying that, and I think the Canadiens feel that, and I hope to see him in the Canadiens lineup before the end of the year.
It's just a fun thought, isn't it? Like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's coming down to, is that, it's like the trade deadline when you acquire, like when we acquired Vanek in 2014 for that playoff run, we hadn't really done that many transactions over the years with Bergie that I was like, oh, like this, it's going to give you a boost instantly. And I think
Definitely.
Caufield could do that. I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid. We all see how first rounders have gone in Montreal. Hasn't gone that great. I really hope Ryan Poehling can find a way to find a role, first of all, in the Laval Rocket. And I think that's another guy who confidence seems to be a big thing. And, getting a hat trick in your first NHL game, I don't know if it just had a backwards effect on the guy, but I really hope that he can have a great run with Laval to start the season here.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I brought that up with Joel today in his press conference. I interviewed Ryan in the offseason, and he kind of conceded that maybe, to a certain extent, he thought that he'd get a role with the Canadiens to start, last year, because no other player in NHL history has had a 3-goal per game average, going into a season. And it's hard not to think, geez, this is easy. I scored 3 goals in my first game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I think he's got a better attitude. He really seemed that way when I talked to him, that he's really prepared to pay his dues, work hard, get the offense going. That he was unable to do that last year. He just never got the offense rolling, and it's such a key confidence, as you mentioned with Byron. The confidence is such a huge part of being an effective NHL player.
Absolutely. And I don't have any Laval Rocket swag. I think you and I got to change that. We're always wearing our Habs stuff, but it's a good thing to get into the Rocket right now. And it's pretty neat that you have access to the interviews with Coach Joel Bouchard and the players. So, I think it's a lot more interesting for Habs fans to get more into the Rocket. And that's not a sales pitch by any stretch. Like I said, I don't have any swag on right now, but I'm speaking to myself that I think that our minor league affiliate has become more interesting. The name is even cooler. They're a lot closer to Montreal now. So this program has gotten a lot better the last couple of years. And I think that we should expect to see some great things out of the Laval Rocket. And certainly we want to see some great prospects make the jump to make the Canadiens and, help them get that 25th cup.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking about that today, trying to maybe bug Trevor Timmons and a few other people about maybe, can you find me a cap or a sweater, or, maybe throw one my way.
We'll take 2.
Yeah. Well, okay. We'll talk.
No pressure.
But yeah, definitely. I love their stuff too. I think they've got a great look, a great logo, and I'm really looking forward. I'm going to watch every game this year and try to report on everyone. We're going to try to get every press conference up on the new YouTube site as well.
So wrapping things up here, Grant. Yes, we mentioned that we'll be posting all of our Laval Rocket coverage on our new YouTube channel. Recruits Hockey is where you can find it on YouTube. So please subscribe to the channel. We'll be providing as much unique coverage of the Laval Rocket as we can, post-game, pre-game stuff with Joel Bouchard, player interviews when we can, and just, covering them as closely as we possibly can. So we appreciate the support from all you folks out there that are tuning in on the new YouTube channel. And Grant and I will be back at some point very soon to discuss more about the Rocket, the Habs, as we continue on this journey with Recruits Hockey.